Building a brain for the world. It sounds almost like science fiction, doesn't it?
It really does. That's the huge ambition at the heart of OpenAI.
But then you factor in the cost. I mean, potentially trillions of dollars.
Astronomical figures. And trying to raise that kind of money responsibly, well, that's the tightrope they're walking.
Exactly. That's the complex challenge OpenAI is grappling with. And today, we're really going to dive deep into their recent restructuring.
Yeah. Our mission today is basically to unpack how they're trying to square that original nonprofit mission with the, frankly, staggering financial needs of developing AGI.
It feels like a really pivotal moment for them. You've got this groundbreaking organization, huge demand for its tech.
Right. The whole world wants it, it seems.
And they're trying to scale up while, sticking to this idea of benefiting humanity. We'll be looking closely at what's driving this, using CEO Sam Altman's recent statements as a guide.
Altman's been pretty open about the sheer scale of what they're aiming for.
Absolutely. Think about it, an AGI that could give expert medical advice or completely change how education works. The potential is just immense.
It truly is. But the engine needed to power that vision.
That's the kicker. We're talking compute infrastructure costing hundreds of billions, maybe even trillions of dollars.
It's a world away from their nonprofit roots, isn't it? Back then, the path wasn't so clear how they'd make an impact.
And apparently, there were even different ideas inside OpenAI early on about how tightly controlled this kind of powerful AI should be.
That initial debate is fascinating now, looking back. The idea that maybe only a few trusted people should have access.
Yeah, it really highlights how much their thinking has shifted.
Definitely. Because now the vision, as Altman calls it, is democratic AI.
Right, empowering everyone, basically. Giving broad access to these powerful tools.
And even involving the public somehow in deciding how AI like ChatGPT should behave.
Which is a huge shift from keep it under lock and key.
And we're already seeing the beginnings of this, aren't we? Scientists using AI for data analysis.
Programmers getting help with coding.
Yeah, and just regular people asking for advice on health or, everyday problems.
But all that usage, that incredible demand, brings us right to the core problem, doesn't it?
The bottleneck.
The main reason for this restructuring, the global demand, is just overwhelming OpenAI's current ability to deliver. They literally can't keep up.
And that massive demand forces a change. How they operate and, crucially, how they get the funding.
The huge funding needed.
Exactly. And that's where the restructuring plan comes in. Altman laid out three main goals driving it.
Okay, what are they?
Well, first, getting that massive capital, those hundreds of billions, possibly trillions we mentioned.
The money to actually build the infrastructure, to make democratic AI a reality for everyone, laying the groundwork for a smarter world, basically.
Right. Second, supercharging the original nonprofit side of things.
Supercharging, how so?
The ambition is huge, making it the largest and most effective nonprofit in history, using AI's power for good.
Wow. Okay. And the third goal?
Maybe the most critical one. Ensuring the AGI they build is helpful, safe, and, aligned with human values.
Safety first. Seems sensible. And the nonprofit's role in all this, is it being sidelined?
No, quite the opposite, according to Altman. He stressed that the nonprofit keeps oversight and control over the for-profit part.
So the mission control, essentially.
Exactly. And apparently this was a key point in talks with civic leaders, attorneys general, reinforcing that commitment to the original mission.
Okay, so nonprofit oversight remains. What about the for-profit side? That's changing quite a bit, right?
It is. They're ditching the old capped profit LLC structure.
Right, the one that limited investor returns.
Yeah, and they're moving to become a public benefit corporation, a PBC.
A PBC. We hear that term more often now. What does that actually mean for those who don't know?
Well, legally, a PBC has to consider public benefit alongside making a profit. It's not just about the bottom line.
Interesting. And other AI labs like Anthropic are using this model too.
They are. It suggests there's a growing feeling in the field that you need to formally bake in that societal impact aspect, not just chase profits.
So moving away from capped profit to this PBC structure, what else does that involve?
It means moving to a more, normal capital structure with stock.
Like a regular company, essentially.
Pretty much. The old capped profit model, while it aligned with the mission focus early on, just wasn't cutting it anymore.
Why to change now?
Competition, mainly.
Yeah.
Altman's basically said that the AGI field is way more competitive now. To attract the kind of mega investment they need, they had to offer a structure investors are familiar with, one without that profit cap.
So the landscape shifted, and they had to adapt to stay in the race for funding.
That seems to be the logic. The old model made sense when things looked less competitive.
Okay, but here's a key thing. The nonprofit isn't just in charge, right? It's also getting a piece of the action.
A major piece. It's becoming a major shareholder in the new PBC.
Ah, okay. So that's how the nonprofit gets supercharged.
Exactly. As the for-profit PBC potentially becomes successful and valuable, the nonprofit benefits directly through its equity stake.
So it gets its own funding stream from the for-profit
A
success.
potentially massive funding stream. This would let the nonprofit invest in all sorts of initiatives, health, education, science.
Using AI for good, like they said.
Right. And there's even talk of a special commission within the nonprofit focused specifically on furthering that democratic AI goal.
It's quite an intricate setup they're building.
It really is. And throughout all these changes, Altman keeps coming back to safety.
How are they addressing that beyond just saying it's important?
Well, he highlights things like red teaming,
Yeah.
which is like stress testing the AI.
Essentially, yeah.
All right.
Bringing in outside experts to hammer on the models, find flaws, potential misuses before they're released.
Proactive safety checks.
And also a commitment to being transparent about how the models actually work, which is often easier said than done with AI. No kidding. So, okay, stepping back. The big picture here is OpenAI trying this incredibly tricky balancing act.
Yeah. Funding this moonshot tech development while trying somehow to stay true to that original benefit humanity mission.
And if they pull it off, the upside could be huge, couldn't it? Wider access to amazing AI tools.
Sparking innovation everywhere. Plus, you'd have this really well-funded nonprofit focused entirely on the positive applications and safety.
That does sound compelling.
But let's be realistic, it's incredibly complex.
Oh, absolutely. Juggling the demands of a for-profit structure with that core nonprofit mission,
Yeah.
that's going to be tough.
It requires constant vigilance, careful navigation.
Oh,
The
yeah.
tech world, and honestly, everyone else is going to be watching OpenAI very, very closely to see how this unfolds.
No doubt about it. Okay, so let's just quickly recap this deep dive. We looked at OpenAI's journey from nonprofit start, facing this huge demand, needing massive funding.
Right, the restructuring itself, why they did it, the key parts nonprofit stays in control, moving to this PBC structure.
Which aims to balance profit with public good.
And this dual focus on getting the necessary cash while ensuring the AI benefits society.
And Altman seems pretty optimistic, right? Believing they can make AI accessible and that the good will ultimately outweigh the bad.
That's certainly the message. A belief in democratizing the tech.
So it leaves us with a big question, really. And maybe one for you, the listener, to think about.
Yeah, definitely. When you have a technology with this kind of potential, world-changing potential, really, what are the most critical things to consider? How do you actually balance the drive for innovation, the huge financial needs, and the ethical governance needed to steer it responsibly?
It's maybe the question of our time when it comes to AI, finding that balance.